I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, March the 29th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. 6,000 head here for the regular Monday feeder cattle auction. Don't forget about some big sales coming up here pretty quick. Special cow sale April the 7th. That's next Wednesday, and then Thursday going to be the primetime livestock video on April the 8th. Be sure to mark those on your calendar. If you want to consign cattle to those, get a hold of them there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. We had a week of consistent gains, and pretty refreshing actually, especially on the board. Your feeder cattle were up moderately every single day of the week. You don't see that very often. Live cattle were either unchanged or up every single day of the week also. We saw significant gains in your fat cattle trade, although the highest prices that we saw came at the end of the week and we didn't see that much volume there, but we've got a higher fat cattle market for the first time in about 7 weeks, so that's a great deal too. Your feeder cattle gained ground also. Of course, we're getting grass fever now, it's that time of the year, but your feeding type cattle also gaining ground, not just your stockers and your calves. But a lot of things happened this week surrounding cattle business and what happened throughout the week. I'll kind of touch on some of it. We started out the week talking about the success of the meat in rallies that were held the weekend before this past, and you know, especially in Colorado, where they had the meat out movement from their nutty liberal governor there. But it was a very big success. The meat in, it got big time media coverage even back east, and some of your big newspapers and things, they were talking about how the meat in push completely overshadowed any kind of a meat out push that they had from Colorado state government there. And I tell you what, the folks in Colorado, I mean, I know they've got their heads in the clouds, but I think it must be a mushroom cloud of bong smoke. There's just so much crazy stuff coming out of there. Not only did their governor call for a proclamation of a day of not eating meat, which is nutty and why he would do that, and then whenever they come out with the big meat in push, then he said that, oh, that he thought that was great, that he wanted to celebrate Colorado animal agriculture and things. I mean, just a complete nut. And a politician there just trying to take advantage of both sides of the fence there. But we heard about a push called the Paws Act of Colorado, and it's an initiative that they've pushed through somehow, and it's up for trying to get signatures to put it up for a vote on the ballot. But this thing is crazy, and it completely threatens Colorado's $7 billion livestock industry. But the Paws Act, Paws stands for Protect Animals from Unnecessary Suffering and Exploitation. So what they're trying to do is that that the people that are taking care of these cattle, for the most part, but also other kinds of livestock and animals too, are getting some kind of a joy out of doing reproductive animal husbandry practices that have become commonplace for a long time. You know, castration, preg checking, palpation, you know, artificial insemination, all those kinds of things. They would completely outlaw all of those. They would ask that livestock be able to live out 25% of their natural lifespan, but they've got their lifespan jacked up there so long that you wouldn't be able to slaughter any beef until it was 5 years old. And if you've ever eaten a 5-year-old steak, you probably didn't know you were eating it, but if you went into a cheap truck stop or someplace like that, but you just kind of were craving a steak, and then after you ate it, you kind of realized what the difference is between premium, top quality kind of beef and then some of that cheap stuff. But you got to push back against this. This is a real thing that they could put up they've got it out for signatures now. And if they get enough signatures, which I'm sure if they go to some of those hippie rallies and things, those people will sign anything, especially if they tell them that people are sexually exploiting animals. Well, sure, they're going to sign it. Then it's going to go on a ballot, and I'm not sure you got enough sane, sober people in Colorado to keep it from getting voted in. So you've got to educate people about it. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. How about, and I'll invite you guys to go to John Campbell's market report from Lahana Livestock, their winter livestock in Lahana, Colorado, the most recent one he has out. He does a very good job of kind of showing in a very descriptive type of a way what they're talking about there and how ridiculous it is. But he spends most of his talk on that, and I think he did a great job there. How about the demise of St. Joe Stockyards? I touched on that. You guys know I spent probably a big chunk, probably over half of my adult life there in and around St. Joe Stockyards, reported to market, bought and sold cattle in the market, auctioneered quite a bit there at that market, filling in, helping the guys out there. Many lifelong good friends all around that market. Well, we got word this week that it indeed has sold. Will be turned over to the new owners sometime this summer, and they plan on tearing it down and building something else on that property. So a lot of history, 134 years going to be torn down there, and it was indeed the last river market terminal stockyard still in existence, and last one to go down. Is kind of a sad thing to see that, but just had a lot of calls. A lot of people called and commented and sent me messages about that, and it's kind of a tough deal. But another deal that's come out, and I tell you what, this Biden administration has been so progressive. It's empowered these left-wing crazies, and they'll just bring up anything now. Well, now during that last $1.9 trillion bill that they put in there that was supposed to help people suffering from COVID and due to being out of work and things like that, it just had all this crazy stuff in there. Well, one of them we had talked about earlier is this minority ag loan forgiveness program, which and it primarily says people that were black, but I think it includes all minorities. And and like I said before, I'm not sure if you got a speech impediment, or you're redheaded, or nearsighted, or short, or whatever it is, but minority. And if you're in the agriculture, they'll come in there and forgive your ag loans up to 120%. Already hearing some stories about this coming in, and I'm not sure at what level they are all true or how far they've gone, but hearing some people, I've talked to some guys that said, hey, I think I'm eligible for this thing. I don't feel right about taking it. Guys, one thing, I worked for USDA for almost 20 years. One thing I've learned about when they appropriate money for a certain program or a certain department or a certain branch, the biggest problem with the federal government especially is you don't get to save that money up and pile it up and then buy something that you really need. And you can't hold on to it. So you don't get to having a savings account with money that's appropriated from the government. They are going to piss all that money away. And every time they get money appropriated for any program, they piss all of it away, or they don't get any more money. They assume they didn't need it. So it keeps organizations within the government from piling up their money and then buying something that they need, or saving it down the road for whenever they need it later. No, they have to get money appropriated each time, and if they don't spend that money, then it looks bad, and they may not get any more. So they're going to piss all that money away. If you feel like that you're entitled to that, I think that you should go in there and fill out that paperwork. And I don't see how the government, especially in today's time, can tell you or discriminate against you depending on which race, ethnicity, whatever you check on that application there. And and it may just be how you're feeling that day, what you identify as, maybe. It's kind of like a friend of mine here around Canyon that I've been friends for a long time, and if I'm in town, we usually go out for lunch maybe once a week, and he called me the other day and he said, "What are you feeling like?" And I said, "Well, I'm feeling like a little Mexican." And so that's what we did. You guys may be feeling, like something like that too. And so you decide that you're going to check a box that says you're a minority. Who's to say you're not a minority? I think we should rush, the FSA offices or whoever's preparing that paperwork, just rush them with all this stuff, because I've heard talk that they will not only fulfill ag loan deficiencies or forgive those ag loans, but some of these ag loans are even land debt that people have. Now that's unbelievable. Anybody that's got a significant sized place is going to have some land debt. I know ranchers that have been in business for generations and generations that still have land debt. Well, maybe they went in and refinanced things because they needed to refence the place or do something like that. But everybody's got land debt. If you're in farming or grazing cattle or something like that, and these fools are going to forgive land debt. Now, I could see an operating loan or something like that, or where you went out and made an investment into some new equipment or something, but real property, land, that's unbelievable. I think we should storm that offering, however you feel like you might identify, and see if you might get a check out of the deal. You might get a loan forgived. It's worth a try. It's not going to hurt anything not to do it. But as ridiculous as that thing is, I think the applications form should be just as ridiculous. How about looking at your board for last week in the cattle? April live cattle futures. Monday was up 37, Tuesday up 35, Wednesday was unchanged, Thursday up 42, and Friday up 55. You see how moderate the gains are, but how consistent they are? That's impressive. I'd rather see that than up $2.50 one day and down $3 the next. Those consistent gains, that gives investors some confidence. But April live cattle futures ended the week at 120.10. That was up $1.70 for the week. And that's not big gains being up every day, but still it's consistent gains. You look way out into next spring, we've got live cattle futures almost $1.30 out in next spring. It's looking pretty good out there. How about June live cattle futures? 121.77 to close the week. That was up $3.10, so a pretty good gain there. I mentioned that your feeder cattle were consistently higher also. April contracts, Monday was up 40, Tuesday up 37, Wednesday up 32, Thursday up 37, and Friday up 90 cents. Pretty consistent on the gains there. April ended the week at 145.12. That was up 5.70 for the week. Awfully good. You look out there out front, your October, November fall contracts are both a little bit over 159. Might be wanting to think about tying on to that. If you've got yearlings that are going to be ready to sell this fall, you might go ahead and get a hold of one of those and either do a full hedge or buy a put or do some kind of strategy there to at least hedge your profit, guys. Because there's different ways to do it where you don't have to limit your gains, but you've got to hedge that profit. How about your March feeder cattle went off the board at 136.15. That was quite a bit lower than what it had traded in its lifetime. But May contracts of feeder cattle 149.87 just here in May on feeding type cattle based on an 800-pound steer. They're going to be $150. Better get with it. How about your fat cattle trade? Through Thursday, 81,200 head. That's better movement than we've been seeing here lately. And we gained ground, guys. I can't understate or overstate that. It was great. We gained to pretty much $1 live basis, but The highest prices that we saw live basis were at the very tail end of the week, and I think that's where we should start and just go right on with them. But live sales steers and heifers from 114, where we languished for weeks and weeks and weeks, all the way to 117, and there was 117 paid on cattle in the northern plains on Friday. But 114 to 117, it was mostly 115 and more. And your weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region, 115.54, pretty impressive. Dress trade, even more impressive, $3 to $5 higher dressed. Went from 183 all the way to 185, but mostly at 185. So that's a big time gain. When you were thinking just a week or two ago, we were like 178 to 180. But 185 for the most part was your market on dressed cattle. Dressed steers had a weighted average in your 5-area feeding region of 184.87. Friday's sales, about 1,400 head confirmed in Iowa, from 116 to 117. There's that 117. Just start at 117 and go on up from there this week, guys. They need the cattle, and they're going to be coming out here on Monday and Tuesday looking at cattle, looking for you to price your cattle. Ask more. 120, that'd be a good place to kind of start trading this week. Nebraska, 750 head confirmed on Friday, 116 and 185. No trade in the southern plains of Kansas and Texas, but we've been seeing Colorado print information, and it's good information. We would like to see it happen a lot more often. 600 head confirmed in Colorado, 116 and 185. Box beef cutout values, your weighted average on all of last week's sales. Choice 234.78 up 703. Select 225.28 up 678, and then both of those weighted averages were about $3 or $4 less than what your prices were on cutout values at the end of the week. So we're gaining. It's grilling season. Those box beef cutout values are going to gain and gain and gain for the next several weeks going forward here. Slaughter, 646,000. A little bit disappointing because their Saturday wasn't as good as what we had hoped. Only 56,000 on Saturday compared to 68,000 just the week before and 73,000 the same Saturday a year ago. But 646,000 for the week. That was 19,000 more than previous week. 39,000 less than the same week a year ago. What else is going on? Be sure and don't forget, we've got the A and B Cattle Ranch just south of Bassett, Nebraska. They've got their 31st annual production bull sale coming up this Thursday, April the 1st, 1 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't forget that sale. 31st annual sale. They raise those best cattle in the part of the world where they raise the best cattle ever. So, you know, right there on the Yellow Brick Road, and I'm telling you what, guys, if you want those fancy cattle that they get the big prices for there in the Sand Hills of Nebraska, you've got to have the genetics to do it. That's where it comes from, right there. So get on that sale. If you can be at the sale, they're going to furnish a nice meal there. They always do. I've been to that sale before. It's just south of Bassett, Nebraska, about 7 miles. But if you can't be there, get on dvauction.com Thursday, April 1st at 1 o'clock. How about your feeder cattle market? Your real-time index on DV Auction ended the week at 137.65. That was up 286 for an index price right there. That's big time gain to end the week, and that was about $1 higher than what your CME cash feeder cattle ended, and it would have been nicer if your board would have settled up closer with it. It would have gained you another $1 or so. But how about your cash feeders in the sale barns? $2 to $5 higher pretty consistently, and that's the whole message of this report. Consistent gains, but $2 to $5 higher. Spots sharply higher on your lighter weight calves. And we've seen your kind of soft new crop calves not seeing the gains that your old crop kind of calf weight yearling old croppers have been bringing, because people want those stocker type cattle to have the quick come on. But we're just about out of those now, and if we do see them, there's not enough of them to really get around. But we are starting to see some nice strings of new crop calves, and they're bringing big bucks too. And your weekend warriors, your local demand, now that we got daylight savings time, guys that have day jobs, they've got a little bit more time to get out and fool with new purchases because they like to turn cattle out too, guys. How about some top quotes at the end of the week and over the weekend around the circuit? Fort Scott Livestock Market in Fort Scott, Kansas there. 124 head of steers on Saturday, weighed 851 at 138.10. It's a pretty big time quote, guys, on a Saturday sale right there in Fort Scott, Kansas. Here's something we don't hardly ever talk about. How about some Holstein Dairy Cross little steers? And they still have them, guys. I know we got sexed semen now, and you don't see as many of them as we used to, but Bloomington Livestock Exchange in Bloomington, Wisconsin, that's dairy country. 50 head, 314 little dairy cross steers, bring $143. Wow. But your top quote that I saw anywhere late last week, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Lexington Livestock Market, Lexington, Nebraska, 67 head, 817 pound steers at 144.10. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.